I am Sabina,
And I'm Barbara.
and we've come together today to discuss a few interesting questions around yoga therapy. And our first question that we have is, why is yoga therapy important? So, Barbara, what do you think?
I think yoga therapy has a lot of value because we look at the whole person and health. Our health is always a reflection of the whole person. It's important, I think, not to separate ourselves into small compartmentalized sections of, a joint here or a breathing difficulty there, but to understand something about the whole person within the context of their life. So that's my first reason for why I think yoga therapy is important. And what do you think, Sabina?
What do I think? Very similar. I do think that yoga therapy adds another dimension to the healthcare that somebody can receive. Because whenever, like you mentioned, whenever there's a health condition, there is usually a whole host of repercussions on that person's life in other aspects of their life. So it affects their families, it affects their finances, it can affect their homes, all these kind of things. So people end up almost like in a whirlpool of challenging and difficult circumstances, and it's like a sort of dense forest in a way. And yoga therapy to me is almost like creating a little clearance where hope and agency arises. And I think that comes from the kind of connection that is created between the yoga therapy and the person, the listening with that um, unconditional positive regard, and ultimately it's the simplicity of the practice that we work out with the person. I think out of that arises that sense of here's something small and doable and also profoundly effective. So it takes that person out of this overwhelm and gives them something doable and practical and effective. And it is the obviously, to achieve a sustainable change, improvement in your health, it's a gradual process and it can take many sort of detours. But there's also always, in my experience, an immediate effect of relief or a bit of space or this sense of, oh, here's something I can do. Um, and that I think is extremely powerful. So
Yeah,
you said you had
yeah.
some other reasons. So
Yes, and it links to what you were just talking about, the effect, the immediate effect, and also those little processes that start coming into play. And um, there's value in both that effect, that experiential through the body, experiencing through the body, that somatic effect, but also value in the cognitive understanding, the way that we can have space to reflect. So I think this is also has huge value, and why yoga therapy is so important, because it works with both the cognitive level, and we can find a way out of fear, find a way into positive action, but also it works through the body, a sense of feeling better within ourselves. And
mm,
there's very few therapeutic approaches that combine those two together.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you because ultimately it creates connection, in a social context between the therapist and the person, but also connection within the person to their own body, their breath, to the whole situation that they're in, and that
Yeah.
ability to do something about it and not just be at the mercy of it. Yeah, I agree totally. So, yeah, and what is your own background in yoga therapy, Bob?
So I've been working in yoga therapy since about 2000 and something like 2005, 2006, and interested in the approach which really looks at the individual and how they respond to yoga, and got interested in the health aspects as well. Yeah, the approach I trained in is Vini Yoga, and that approach emphasizes working with the individual, and health is a part of that. Been part of the British Council for Yoga Therapy, and it's been a real progression over the last 20 years or so to see how there's more evidence in yoga now than there was 20 years ago. So it's a really interesting journey and an exciting time to see that yoga is becoming a more evidence-based approach. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what about what's your background into?
Yeah, similar, Barbara. So similar as you, I've been trained in the Vina yoga tradition that both on a one-to-one basis and also in group classes puts its emphasis on making yoga accessible and appropriate to each person. It places a lot of emphasis on the breath, and again in the therapeutic context, that's really essential, because ultimately our breathing is the most fundamental aspect of our health. And I think what's important when we start sort of working as a yoga therapist, to recognize that just as much as we're treating the people that we see as an individual, what our work looks like as a yoga therapist is also very much individual. It depends on our interests. It depends on maybe other work that we do. It depends partly also on our circumstances and opportunities that simply come our way. So some of it is maybe just a little bit accidental. So in my own case, this has meant sort of gravitating towards cancer care quite a lot. So I've worked in a local community that I used to live in the local hospitals. It also led me to working with mental health quite a lot. So again, working with charities like Mind and other charities in adult ed, and eventually leading to setting up a sort of mental health recovery program at the local community center that I was in. So, the work as a yoga therapist looks, as individual as each individual is. So there isn't a formulaic, this is what you do when you work as a yoga therapist. And currently, this means I work in a prison. So again, the mental health aspect comes in quite strongly there. So these are group situations, so the therapeutic principles apply there too, but on an individual level, again, the work is across the board with the whole person, so lots of different aspects come in. Yeah. So what's your own experience with yoga therapy? How did it all start?
Oh, I'm interested in the individual approach, but I suppose when it came to my own personal experience, inevitably there are times in life when you go through difficult patches. And I think one of those particular times was around 20 years ago. I had a miscarriage, and it was a very difficult time for me because it was a very much wanted pregnancy that sadly wasn't sustained. And I felt that although I had although I had a personal yoga practice, it was at this time that it moved more into a therapeutic practice for me, because I felt myself becoming not just sad, but moving into a depression. And having experienced that before, I knew I didn't want to go back there. And so my practice then changed to reflect what I was going through. And I think that pulled me along to not slip into a depressive state. So a very powerful experience of finding that working with my body, working through a practice, keeping that continuity going sustained my mental health in a very positive way for me.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And it's a very powerful example of, okay, there's is a situation that you can't change, but
No.
if you can find a positive approach that carries you through it and to deal with it. Yeah. I'm quite similar in a way because, I came across it almost accidentally because when my daughter was little, I'm a single mom. So when my daughter was little, just going to a class was just logistically very difficult. And then I found out that my teacher was doing these one-to-ones, it was called at the time. So I didn't even think about it in terms of therapy. I didn't have a particular health issue that I was concerned about. I just had always enjoyed doing yoga and somehow had a sense, even though I wasn't all that conscious, that it was good for me. So I started going, and it just became such a lifeline over many, many years, just through the whirlpool of being a single mom, all these different situations that came up over the years, and just the connection to that supportive listener every 4 to 6 weeks, and then that little space every day and the connection to myself within all this time when time for yourself just doesn't exist apart from these 10 minutes. So again, a very I don't know, gradual process into this kind of work.
Yeah, keeping a steady, healthy state of mind.
Yeah, and navigating life, ultimately, that's what yoga can do. It isn't always like that. It can be, very much focused on a health condition. But, for me and for you, it seemed more about, keeping a steady path on in your life. Yeah. So,
Yeah, definitely.
okay. Yeah. And then in 2019, we came together, and what did we do?
Well, we set up some training together.
Yeah.
We worked together to put together the yoga therapy module for the British Wheel of Yoga, and we started offering some training around that, and that then grew into running a 600-hour yoga therapy training, which we went through the accreditation process for British Council of Yoga Therapy. So that is really the recognised qualification for yoga therapists in the UK, and of course it means that it ensures that there's a good level of training that each trainee covers on the course, and they become qualified and competent and effective and supported in training as well. So we formed Yoga Therapy Whole Person Healing, didn't we? That's our name for our training.
Absolutely. And it's very much about still doing both. We're both having our own practice and still, enjoying and loving supporting individuals in their, search for health and stability in whatever way that expresses itself in their lives. And then also offering our experience and knowledge over all these years to other yoga teachers that want to equally work within this therapeutic application of yoga, and to do that, to a really high standard. So, that they feel empowered to offer the support that people are looking for, and to base that very firmly in the philosophy and the principles of yoga and the practice of yoga, and to also combine that then to the sort of contemporary therapeutic context, so that people understand where yoga therapy sits within all the other disciplines that are around us these days. So,
and I think that's I think for both of us, that aspect of connecting to the yoga understanding is a real key point for us, because yoga therapy isn't physiotherapy, and it's not counseling, and it's not a little bit of relaxing and yoga nidra with a bit of breathing. I mean, they're all great things, of course, but to have that connection to the yoga understanding and to look at it from that perspective, I think it's why we love yoga. And of course, we want to make that an important and valuable part of what we do when we work with people in a structured way. So it's, not throwing everything at a situation, but working out where is the intelligent approach here that yoga offers us that we can apply to this person.
But I think also, yeah, I totally agree with what you say. And I think also for me, it's also reminding ourselves of the profundity of what yoga is and how much of all the other disciplines actually yoga comprises. Because in our modern Western understanding of yoga, I think a lot of that has sadly got lost. And there is only a small aspect of yoga that is really known, whereas yoga comprises so many different things and relates to a lot of the other disciplines that are quite popular at the moment and effective, I would say. But actually yoga does all of that too. And, to understand our own value and what we have to offer within that context, I think is really important. So we're basing people very much in that tradition and in that confidence of what yoga actually is.
Yeah. And the good thing is that yoga is very, very popular. People enjoy it. And that's another bonus, isn't it? That if you are in a situation where you're looking to make some change, and all therapy involves some change, then you can find something that you actually might enjoy doing, or it's not going to feel like it's always hard work. Inevitably, change involves some work and it can be hard, but to have some enjoyment in making that or doing the practice is really valuable, isn't it?
It is. It's enjoyable, and as you say, change is hard, but it can also be gentle, I think. And I think yoga is always a gentle approach. And change is always easier when you're being held a little bit by something or someone. Don't always have to do it on your own. So I think that's important too, isn't it? So
and we should say something about why, something about the way that we offer training, what makes our training a little bit different, because not only do we have this sort of close link to the underlying philosophy and want to bring that into the therapeutic work that we do, but also that we enjoy working with small groups, and we enjoy working with individual students, and we want them to feel supported in their training. And we mentor people, we support people, and that's all a very kind of personal, individual process for us.
Yes. I was going to say, we are thankfully not on our own. That yoga is coming into its own a bit more. Yoga therapy is, so it is gaining wider traction, and there's more people than us that offer the training. So our approach very much is about reflecting in our training what we try and impart about the relationship between the therapist and the care seeker, and that is very much a personal approach. So small groups can bring in that personal element a lot more easily than teaching large groups. We also emphasize the experience of yoga and yoga therapy, the personal experience and the personal reflection, and then bring that together with all the sort of fundamental knowledge based in yoga. So it isn't just an academic thing. It definitely isn't a formulaic thing. We combine the experience and the knowledge, and then you don't apply that to somebody else in the way it applies to you, but how it applies to somebody else. And there's lots of sort of practical support around making that happen and creating a space for that to happen. I would say that is very much what we do. And who is it for? I mean, who do we?
Well, generally, we're working with yoga teachers that want to go into this aspect of yoga to look at working within a therapeutic application. Sometimes we're working with individuals who have health conditions and they're interested in, what can I do here? What's this about? But for anyone that's interested in the field of yoga therapy, then we've got information on our website about not only the 600-hour 2-year qualification in yoga therapy, but we have information there about workshops that we run as well. And also, if people are interested in finding a yoga therapist or working with us, then there's links to find people or to get in touch and be an active participant in the direction of your own health, and that's empowering.
Yeah, so there are links on the website to either find you or myself, and as well some of the people that have been working with us and are now fully trained. So, it depends a little bit on where you are, because an in-person consultation is always more desirable than an online one, whereas those are possible, but it's always nicer to actually see that person. And the short trainings are also accessible to anybody who wants to find out a little bit more information about certain conditions potentially and how yoga might help. So it is for the teachers, but it is also for anybody that is interested to find out more.
Yeah, so I think we've covered quite a bit in our video today. We will put some more videos out. So if you're watching this, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you on another video. And if you'd like to or follow the video, then that would be great, and we'll see you again soon.
And even better, come and see us in one of our workshops. Okay. Bye.
Bye.